There are certain things you can say to a woman that will instantly destroy her attraction, no matter how good looking you are, how successful, or how much Shell liked you at first. And the worst part, most men say these things thinking they're being honest, vulnerable, even emotionally real. But in reality, they're unknowingly killing the spark before it ever has a chance to catch fire. Because attraction isn't built on logic, it's built on emotional instinct, and instincts react fast, long before her conscious mind catches up. In this video, I'll reveal the 5 silent killers of attraction. Things men say that sound harmless, even sweet, but they trigger a deep biological switch that makes a woman's interest sudden livenish. Stick with me, because not only will you learn what not to say, you'll understand why these things kill Thivab and what to do instead. Let's start with mistake number 1. I don't know what I want right now. Sounds honest, right? It's the kind of thing people say when they're trying to be real, trying it to lead anyone on, trying to show they're processing. But here's their problem. To a woman, this doesn't sound like honesty. It sounds like instability. An instability in a man's direction is a massive red flag. You might think you're showing vulnerability, but to her subconscious brain, it feels like you're standing on shaky ground. And no woman wants to build anything with a man standing in. She may not say it out loud. She may even nod along and say, I understand. But deep down, her attraction just took a hit. Let's market these visual. Imagine you're boarding a flight and the pilot gets on the speaker and says, Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not quite sure where we're headed today. Would you feel safe? Would you trust Thejani? Of course not. Women are wired the same way emotionally. They're drawn to direction, not perfection, but clarity. A man who doesn't know what he wants isn't a mystery. He's a risk. And attraction never blooms in emotion. 2. You're too good form. Now, this one might feel romantic, like you're complimenting her, like you're putting her on a pedestal. But that's exactly the problem. When you tell a woman she's too good for you, you're saying, you're above me. I don't deserve you. That may sound poetic on a movie screen, but in real life, it signals a lack of self-worth, and that is never attractive. Women are not drawn to self-deprecating men who worship them like untouchable goddesses. They are drawn to men who see them clearly and still choose them from a grounded, confident place. Here's the kicker. The moment you pedestalize a woman, she starts to look down. Not because she's cruel, but because human nature can't respect what begs for validation. Well, do you want a job that constantly reminds you you're overqualified for it? Probably not. You want challenge, intrigue, growth, and so does she. So, when you say you're too good for me, you're not complimenting her. You're confessing insecurity and killing 3. I can't live without. This one hits differently. It sounds deep. It sounds passionate, but it screams emotional dependence. When Eamon says this, he thinks he's proving his love, that he's expressing just how much she means to him. But what she feels is pressure. It's the emotional equivalent of handing her a fragile legless box and saying, if you drop this, my whole life falls apart. That's suffocating. Women want to add to your life, not become your life. True masculine energy is rooted in independence. It says, you're a beautiful addition, not me, oxygen tank. Here's a stoic truth. Love without boundaries is chaos. Desire without direction is desperation. And desperation is the fastest way to kill. Let me throw in a quick pattern. Imagine hiring a therapist who says, "Please don't cancel. I don't know who I am without you." Red flag, exactly. If your peace depends on her presence, you don't love her. You're addicted to her. And that's not attraction. That's emotional captivity. 4. My ex was crazy. Now, this one sounds like harmless small talk, maybe even a bonding moment. But it's not when you speak negatively about your ex. Especially early on, you reveal way more about you than you do about her. Women didn't hear, "She was difficult," "Is survived." They hear, "This guy has need." He blames women. He might say the same about me. It paints a picture of how you handle emotional conflict, how you process the past, and how likely you are to throw people under the bus when things get hard. Here's a quick riff. A healed man doesn't talk. He speaks in calm neutrality. He owns his part and lets the rest go. Why does this matter? Because women crave emotional safety, and a man still locked in his past feels emotionally dangerous, not because of what he says, but because of what it says about his stability. Let's say you're on a date and she keeps stalking about how all her exes were in. Wouldn't you start wondering what's the common denominator? So, if you haven't processed it, don't project it. And if you're still bitter, don't bring it. Your silence about the past can be far more powerful than any story you tell. If you've made it this far, you already understand how fragile attraction can be. Not because women are complicated, but because most men are unaware of the emotional signals they send. Now, it's time for the final and most dangerous thing you should never say to a woman. Let's dive in. 5. I'll do anything to keep you. At first glance, this sounds like passion, like dedication, like the ultimate sign of. But let's break it down. Because beneath the surface, this statement is a subtle betrayal of masculine energy. When you say, "I'll do anything to keep you," what she hears is, "I'm willing to abandon myself to win you." That's emotional surrender. And here's the brutal truth most men don't want to hear. A woman can never respect a man who sacrifices his self-worth for her attention. She might tolerate it. She might even feel flattered at first. But over time, she loses attraction. Why? Because women are not wired to lead in love. They're wired to feel safe in the presence of a man who holds his ground, even if it means walking away. Let's use a quick analogy. Imagine a castle with no gates. Anyone can walk in. No resistance, no standard. That's not inviting. That's insecure. When a woman hears, "I'll do anything to keep you," it sounds like there are no boundaries, no standards, no backbone. And that doesn't inspire love. It inspires control. Because when a man wants to protect his own emotional territory, a woman feels like she has to. And that's exhausting. You're not supposed to be her doormat. You're supposed to be her mirror. A clear reflection of confidence, depth, and discipline. Not the guy who gives up his values just to avoid being alone. Because the moment you show her that she can own you emotionally, you become invisible sexually. Read that again. Now, take a breath. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't about shame. It's about power. Most men weren't taught this. They were taught that love means giving everything, no matter that being a real man means never letting her go. But here's the secret women won't say out loud. She doesn't want to feel like she owns you. She wants to feel like she's earned. You're because only when a woman feels she by a man who didn't have to choose her does she feel true. Desire, attraction isn't built on declarations. It's built on the subtle between who you are and who you're fused to become. It's in the moments where you stay calm when she tests you, where you hold your truth even if it means losing her, where your silence speaks louder than validation-seeking words. That's where attraction thrives, not in over-explaining, not in confessing every insecurity, not in trying to make her stay, but in being so grounded in yourself that her presence feels like a choice, not a. Now, here's where it gets exciting. Because once you stop saying wrong things, you create space to say the right ones. The kind that spark curiosity. The kind that builds emotion. The kind that keep her thinking about you long after the con. The biggest mistake men make in dating isn't being too emotional. It's being emotionally unguarded. It's confusing openness with overexposure. It's thinking that spilling your soul will win her heart. But real emotional strength isn't loud. It's quiet, subtle, unshakable. You don't need to prove your worth. You need to embody it. Because when a woman meets a man who speaks with clarity, not confusion, who compliments with confidence, not insecurity, who holds his peace instead of offering his desperation, she feels it. And that feeling, that's attraction. Now, if this video sparked something in you, don't just leave it here. Hit that subscribe button, because we're only scratching the surface of this high-value mindset. And if you got value today, give this a like and share it with a brother who needs to hear this. Because the truth is, power isn't in chasing. It's in knowing when to walk and still be followed. Say less, mean more, and never forget your silent sighs.